Thanks for everybody being here. This has been a nice collaboration with adult education, deacons, and mission and outreach. Very excited about today. I'm going to introduce Esperanza Principal Brad Rumble in just 1 second, but I just want to note that there will be a Q&A session after Brad's talk. Okay? So Principal Brad Rumble. Brad's been working with within the LA Unified School District for more than 30 years. He served as a classroom teacher and in other roles at Rosemont Avenue Elementary in Echo Park, along with Ben. Where's Ben? There he is. Ben, who actually found out is responsible for getting connected to Brad to begin with, so it's really awesome. Brad led Leo Politi Elementary in Pico Union for 6 years. He's now in his 8th year as principal at Esperanza Elementary, right near MacArthur Park on the edge of downtown. So this is only his 3rd school in all that time. I think it's particularly cool that somebody stays and puts in the time like that. Among many honors, Brad was named a National Fellow of America Achieves in 2012. In 2016, he was named Elementary Principal of the Year by Associated Administrators of Los Angeles. As many of us know, he's a passionate advocate for independent reading. Brad led efforts to renovate school libraries at each of the schools he has served. The WPC book drive earlier this year was a favorite of many of us here, and much of the result of that effort went directly to Esperanza with Brad's help. So possibly most pertinent to our Earth Care Project Month, Brad has received the 2015 Puro Audubon Award, serves on the City of Los Angeles Biodiversity Expert Council, and his innovative work in reimagining campus space earned him the 2020 Disney Conservation Hero Award. Very timely. If you're able to participate Saturday at our Playground Day at Esperanza, which we've been promoting, I've got a sign-up sheet over here. You can talk to me afterwards. But if you're able to be there and just participate in whatever way, you really be able to see what they've done, what Brad's done, and what they've done over there firsthand. It's amazing. Personally, I will say Brad is one of the most inspiring people I've met in the last few years. I do keep a running log of this, and it's the way I try to be grateful for the people I come across. And being at Esperanza, I've been there a couple times and seeing firsthand the wonder and awe in the kids' faces when they showed us their school garden, when they talk about birds. So I'm not the only one who's being inspired. So Brad's here to close out our Earth Care Project Month, but with the idea that the effort continues. Brad knows we've been studying warmth, and he somehow found a way to read it twice, apparently. He also made time to put together an amazing presentation for us. So without any further ado, Esperanza Elementary, A Natural History. Take it away, Brad.
Thank you so much. And because of all you said, we can go to slide 8. No, I'm just kidding. So,
there's a lot to say.
I'm going to commit to pausing because sometimes we principals have so much to say. So I will pause at times. And I'm also going to commit to releasing the fear that tonight at about 8 o'clock, I'm going to think of 12 other things I should have told you. Okay. So this first image is by Jose Ramirez, who is on our faculty, a teacher at our school. He's just amazing. And he's working on a mural right now for UCLA, I think the Department of Education. So it's really exciting. So, yeah. And can everyone give me a thumbs up if the slide just changed? Okay, we're in business. All right. But first I want to talk about you, okay? And I want to talk about just this incredible church. 13 miles away, I found out from this slide, you all, if we walk it, are 3 hours and 28 minutes away. So I'm not suggesting you do that. If you do, we'll meet you halfway, okay? But it's that whole idea that I don't feel those 13 miles at all. On your campus, I feel you. And I want to say that when I'm on my campus, I feel you. And I sincerely mean this, okay? And all I have to do is look right outside my window to the front of the school, the only lawn in the zip code for our students, and there it is. It gets a lot of use. And I see those beautiful landscape plants brought there by Claudia, thank you, and planted by all of you who were there those days. Thank you so much. And this beautiful project that continues to flourish just like our children do. I was out there the other day at the beginning of school wearing my yellow vest. Been doing this for 32 years, but I only started wearing the yellow vest this year, but it's really good. You get a lot of business done, right, with parents at the front of the school. And I walked in, I was helping a child in, and I noticed this plant, this beautiful bird of paradise that was planted by you. And it was just so brilliant there, and these students were walking by. And I thought, what a beautiful thing and what a reminder of this bond that we have. So, and Mark, I see you, and I just want to say to you that, Ben, you introduced us, and from the moment I met Pastor Mark, it was just this deep connection. And what was so real about that connection was you instantly understood the challenge and also the opportunity. And since then, we've accomplished a lot, so thank you. So yes, David's right, 32 years and only 3 campuses. So the downside to that is, I can't think of any downside. It's just been absolutely a beautiful journey. The upside is, in going deeply into the school community at 3 different campuses, it really gives you an idea to develop an opportunity to develop some really big ideas. So first and foremost is the importance of collegiality among a faculty. I don't know how you can teach in this world today without that collegiality. Another is the importance of the school library. And at all 3 of the schools that I've served, we have completely renovated the school library. And that work began with Marilyn Robertson, who's wearing a flower, because I understand you are, even though you've been singing with the church for 11 years, today is your first day that you're a member. So I think she deserves an applause. Not only for that, but you are a world-class children's librarian for LA Unified. That's how we met many years ago. So it's one of those beautiful miracles, right? And so another big idea would be, I want to make sure, are we on a classroom library?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Classroom libraries, and this should look familiar to you because you, WPC, created these classroom libraries at our school. But what are the opportunities for children who are learning to read to connect to books they want to read? This is really important, okay? But we're not going to talk about that today. And then what about positive behavior? And what do you do when a child commits a behavior error? And how do you treat that as an opportunity to teach? And how do you help students understand that they possess the tools to resolve such situations? All right? So we'll save that for another day, okay? So today it's about Earth and climate change. And some really big issues that came up in this book, Warmth, which is so incisive, meant so much to me to get this book and to read it. Daniel Sherrill. And when you read this book, it can be overwhelming to consider what's going on with our planet. And for me, as a teacher, working for 32 years in the urban core of Los Angeles, those enormous ideas may not have been the first thing on my mind. It may have been more personal, what was directly in front of me. But through the years of my teaching, and then moving into administration, I had gnawing feelings that developed about certain things. A sea of asphalt on the campus, okay? The fact that when it did rain, the water would just roll right off the asphalt and head into usually clogged storm drains. The urban heat island effect and how hot it would be at the end of the day on that asphalt. And declining biodiversity featured here in this photo. And they're all God's.
One side.
Oh, are we on?
We're on conflict resolution.
I want, great, thank you. Are we looking at, this is, oh, one more. There we go. Thank you for that. Claudia, I'm going to count on you.
Try to read
Thank
your
you for
mind
that.
back.
Yeah. So you've done that before. That's how we got all those plants over there. So if you look here, you see European starlings and rock doves. You see house sparrows. Working at Rosemont Elementary, that was about all I saw. And I'd get excited when I would see something different. And on the weekends, I started going out into the field and really gaining an understanding of birds, okay? I had the opportunity to get out there on the weekend on my considerably long vacations. The families I served, the children I served, they didn't have that opportunity. They saw what they saw right there on their campus or in their neighborhood without the opportunity to get out there. And that stayed with me. All of these thoughts, nature deficit in children, were really gnawing at me. The beautiful thing as a principal is you can do something about it. And so my first principalship happened not far from Esperanza at Leopoldini Elementary School. And if you want to know about Leopoldini, you've got an expert right here with Marilyn Robertson. But Leopoldini was an author and especially an illustrator and an artist. Okay, he also was a model for Jose Ramirez. I know this. But if you look at several of the books he wrote, for example, Song of the Swallows, The Butterflies Come, about the migration of the monarchs, it wasn't that much of a leap to start thinking about nature on the campus of Leopoldini Elementary. And I want to give you this background. So in 2008, I became principal there. And within that first year, I had built a partnership with Los Angeles Audubon Society. They were looking to kind of take their high school students who had done really great things, most of them from Dorsey High School, up at Baldwin Hills Scenic Overlook, and really become stewards of the earth, to take them and have them apply their knowledge on an elementary school campus. And so they came to our campus, and we together discovered that there were about 5,000 square feet of campus that wasn't used at all. In fact, I never saw anything happening there. There was a concrete slab that was supposed to be the reading garden. Okay, think about it. And that was about it. And together, those high school students worked with our students to study that land and to imagine what it might have looked like 600 years ago. What would have been here? And they decided it was coastal sage scrub. They figured out that the soil was clay. And what would be the plant palette for that area 600 years ago? And we worked that land, and we had a plant day that looked like this. And we restored this land to what it used to look like. And 5,000 square feet of asphalt became this. There it is at the end of the day, that first day. Here's what it became. This incredible living laboratory. Yes. Right there in Pico Union, okay? And it flourishes today. We'll get to that. So it got some attention, especially when the Los Angeles Times came out. And Louis Sagun was the writer. Are we on that slide? Yes. Great, thank you. And Louis Sagun came out, I think he was expecting to do kind of a small story. And this is an anecdote for you, okay? But Louis got to know the students, got to know the work we were doing, and he wrote an article about it. But he would call me and say, Brad, we're moving from the middle of the second section to the front of the second section. Okay, great. And a few days later, the editors really think this is important work. They're going to put it in the front section. Brad, we've got column 1. That wasn't the last call I got from Louis. The little girl, now in college, in that bright blue shirt, is Jackie. And about 9:30 on a Sunday night, I remember it well. This is 2012. Louis Sagun calls me. Brad, I'm sorry for calling so late, but the editors don't believe me and I need you. I said, what are you talking about? Well, you were with me when I interviewed Jackie in 4th grade. And she said, he read me back the quote, at our school, flycatchers drink the water in the vernal pool. Scrub jays hang out in the oaks. the snapdragon's red flowers attract Anna's and Alan's hummingbirds. I said, well, yeah, she said that. He said, the editors don't think that she said it or any child anywhere would say that. I said, she said it, and the quote went in. All right? It's in that big article. And it's interesting being on the front page of the LA Times like that. Folks in Santa Barbara sent me some of their bird art. I've got stamp collections of birds. It was really something, okay? And then we also had a visit from the education department, the entire department of the Natural History Museum, because they were taking some unused space at their museum and turning it into a native habitat. Those of you who've been there know what I'm talking about. And it's just beyond the blue whale. And eventually we became an exhibit at the Natural History Museum, and we're still there. If you want to see us, it's the dead rat. Look for the dead rat. It's in the nature lab, and there's also a stuffed black phoebe, okay? But this is called a schoolyard transformed, right? And this is really about helping people to understand what's possible with the little land that we have, right? But, you know, we have Sherry Morrison in the room, and I know there are probably other scientists here who might be wondering, but is it sustainable without that bird watching principle? And would this work be replicable somewhere else? And I had those same thoughts. I'd been at Leo Politi School a total of 9 years. And so, in 2014, I made the move to Esperanza. And that brings us to our portion of the journey. So, as David said, the school is in MacArthur Park. It's on Wilshire Boulevard. To the west, you have MacArthur Park, and to the east, the skyscrapers of downtown. And right around us, in all directions, you have a whole lot of asphalt and concrete. What you don't have is nature. And I took that center picture last week. I just walked across the street from the front of the school. That's Little Street, our street. And if you look at that, you'll see the concrete of the building with no courtyard, meeting the sidewalk, meeting the curb, meeting the asphalt then of Little Street, and then our concrete steps. And
Might not be this long.
there we go.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it? Okay.
Great. Keep it coming,
Sorry.
Claudia. Thank you for that. So that's that center picture. And when I arrived there, 7 of the tree wells were completely vacant, no trees. Okay, so it's that kind of thing. So where to start? Okay, the campus itself was mostly asphalt, pretty much all asphalt. Where to start? You can't really start studying natural history on a campus that's all asphalt. But down the street is MacArthur Park. So that's where the work began. And I think part of this, my reflection is, the need is so overwhelming, but you have to start somewhere. And so I started with 1 grade level, 3rd grade, because I saw that spark in 3rd grade. In fact, Jose Ramirez is one of the fantastic teachers on that grade level. And you'll see 2 ducks in this picture. Do you see the ducks?
Yes.
Great, okay. And on the top, I'm going to quiz you. What's on the top? Does anyone know? Mallards. You got it. And below, that's a male ringneck duck, okay? And here's what you need to know. The mallards pretty much are in MacArthur Park year-round, okay? But those ringneck ducks, like our ducks here, most of them, are winter ducks. They migrate. And so our 3rd grade students became experts on the mallards and the ringneck ducks. They learned everything you could possibly want to know about these 2 species of ducks. And then we went to MacArthur Park. Every last one of them, about 120 3rd grade students. And we walked to the park. And these students got to see, in autumn, loads of mallard ducks. They didn't see any ringneck ducks, and that really brought home an important point for them. Wow, they're just not there, okay? But when we went in January, what do you think they saw? More ringneck ducks than mallards. What a powerful message. We went again, I think it was like May, it was only mallards. So they experienced migration firsthand. The thing is, they experienced it in their neighborhood, and I started hearing from them about them going with their families just on their own to MacArthur Park to birdwatch as well. It's a beautiful thing. So, just check where we are.
Yellow rug.
All right. So speaking of migration, what can you do on a campus that has a few trees? Well, there's a little half-an-ounce bird called the yellow-rumped warbler, okay? And it doesn't take much, doesn't take anything to have a contest in September in which your student council becomes experts on this species. And during recess, teach the students about the yellow-rumped warbler. And then at lunchtime, the students get to predict the date that they will arrive on campus. And suddenly, you have hundreds and hundreds of students who know a lot about yellow-rumped warblers, want to know more, and by golly, they want to find it. And they especially want to find it on the day they picked, okay? And so there's this heightened level of awareness and an enthusiasm about this. In fact, let me show you what that looked like. There's the yellow-rumped warbler. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. They're all around us right now, okay? Listen in your backyards for snip, snip. That's the yellow-rumped warbler. Don't do that in June. You'll be frustrated because they've already gone. And this is what it looked like. This is the contest, okay? Talk about engagement. You have students, student council there, taking the votes, figuring it all out. Look how excited these students are and creating just a real sense of enthusiasm around natural history now on their campus. The binoculars came out. They became birders, pretty much through that little half-ounce creature. We just did the contest at school. We do it every year. It's part of our tradition. And it was so funny to hear the children say, oh, well, last year it came on October 8th. I'm going to go for that. They actually remembered the date that it had come. And for the record, it was October 10th this year. So all of the students from October, there were 26 of them that chose that date. They all won a picnic on that front lawn surrounded by WPC landscaping and a little bird walk with yours truly, which was really great because we ended up seeing a late warbling vireo, and that was a lesson for them on a species that already should have migrated south. Don't get me started, okay? All right. But things still weren't where they needed to be on campus, so we started looking to where else we could go, and partnerships are really important. Sharon Nakata from San Pasquale, Steam Magnet is here today. You're all about partnerships. The message is we cannot do this alone. Here's the National Park Service ranger working with our students, and I know you think this is a pose. But is there a Sibley guide in that photo? Do you see the bird guide? I just happened to turn around and thought I have to take a picture of this. It looks like something done by Hollywood. But look at that enthusiasm. And we went back to MacArthur Park many times, always on the Christmas bird count where we participated for Audubon Society. And I just want to point out that's Herman in the front with the binoculars. And Herman became, we have a relationship, another partnership with the Colburn School of Music. And I think they started him out, I want to say with oboe, okay? He lives in that building right across the street from school. He's in high school now. One day he came to see me, he said, well, they want me to play another instrument, and it's the bassoon. So one of my favorite things when I'm there on Saturday, he has his lessons, I'll see him and his dad. His dad has this pickup truck, loading this enormous bassoon into the back of the truck. So anyway, it's a beautiful thing. All of these children would be in high school now. Isn't that something? So we go down to MacArthur Park and birdwatch and then contribute to science through eBird by reporting what we saw. And you just continue to build that culture of awareness, okay? It's a beautiful thing. and it brought the community together. Melinda Taylor, the landscape architect who did Disney Hall, heard about what we were doing and invited us down. We've been down there more than once to birdwatch. She said, I built this beautiful garden here, but I don't know what's in there. Will you come help us? And so we went down there and did that. It was a beautiful thing. And on one of those trips, we came back and found a hermit thrush in the parking lot tree, which was really something, okay? If I can go back, these are real birders. You know what I'm saying? Something else. All right. Let's get to softening up the hardscape at school, okay? On page 199 of Warmth, Daniel Sherrill writes, talking about his hometown in New Jersey. What was left then was to make our home in the world we had, or rather, to look for new worlds within it, unexpected nooks that we could unfold and make matter. That's what we've done at our school. And we started with a place that you who have been to the campus know well. Look at those curbs there. The parking curbs ended. One more. Did I
Go
go?
back. One more forward. One more forward. One more forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Whoa!
What happened?
It kept forward. Go back.
Oh.
There.
Okay.
Oh!
I'm not touching it.
First off,
I'm gonna take you everywhere. Oh, that's great. Okay, beautiful. Isn't that something? Okay. I feel like for a minute we were on a roller coaster. Okay, I'm not touching it. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's got a thing there. Okay, great.
it's got a thing.
All right. There. Okay. Oh,
Maybe you just click
We
it,
kind
Brad.
of
I'm so
saw.
sorry.
I'm gonna click.
Yeah,
There we
you
go.
can click.
Okay, we're good. We're good. Notice, this is great. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah.
So what do you notice? Do you notice that the parking lot curbs, you can't park any farther than those curbs, correct? Yet, all that you see was asphalt. There was no reason for that to be asphalt. And so it took a little bit of money, about $7,000, to have the asphalt removed, the soil tested, and a hose bit put in. And we partnered on this project with Oak Tree Capital Management downtown. They were celebrating their 20th anniversary and they wanted to plant oaks, okay? They planted oaks elsewhere on the campus. Here, these are Palo Verdes. And this is sort of performance art, folks, because people walking by, they don't know what to do with it because it's nature right there in the middle of the city, okay? And so that's what we did there. And it's important to tell your story. I'm telling you this story now, but because we had told the story of Leo Politi pretty well, when the district informed me that a bungalow classroom had to be removed, that it couldn't be replaced because it would cost $1 million for a new classroom, I said, that's okay. Take the classroom, but can you take the asphalt under it as well? And I sent them all of the story from Leo Politi. And the district called me back and said, we're going to pay for the asphalt removal, which is just beautiful. And so what had been complete asphalt on Esperanza's campus would soon become a native habitat. And again, we partnered with the high school students, mostly from Dorsey High School, from Los Angeles Audubon Society, who came over and studied with our students what this land would have looked like. And the experts were in the room. These high school students were amazing. And together, we prepared the land. This is all about stewardship. I love this photo. I had to include it. One thing we planted first was that oak tree there, okay, the coast live oak. And then look at the line just getting water to it. And those children are connecting with the land on their campus. Most of my students don't know how to water. We have to teach them that. And this is what it looked like the day of the planting. This is 2016, that morning. And again, I only have this photo. I think I was so busy. This is the only photo. These are Esperanza families partnered with the high school students from Dorsey High School through Los Angeles Audubon Society. And at the end of the day, it looked like this. Just brilliant. So we didn't wait to let the students in, and it grew like crazy. So the students bonded with this land. It excited them. It was a place for them to call their own. It was their backyard. So I want to read to you just a quick passage from Sherrill's book about noticing. The anthropologist Anna Singh has suggested that in order to go on living in the Anthropocene, we will need to resurrect what she calls the art of noticing, the ability to stand still and just look, to pay attention without expectation, to welcome bemusement and surprise, to see the trees, in other words. Indeed, she focuses particularly on the value of noticing plants and animals. There are other organisms that are key parts of our lives, she says, and they don't always behave like resources. That's what we did at our school. And here are some of the observations of the students. And it's so interesting how these observations become longer and more specific as the school year goes on. They're connecting and they're reporting. In Sherrill's book, he goes on to talk about the sad part of noticing, because we notice what we're losing. We mourn what we lose. And yet, at our school, it's the opposite, because this is all additive. We're finding that species in downtown Los Angeles are hanging on. And where else can we give them these opportunities? I took this picture about 3 days ago. Okay? That's what it looks like now. And the students are right there learning. We want to be that example for others. Dr. Jeff Scher at UCLA brings out his undergrad students. I think his class is on, I think it's on climate reality. And so here are undergrads from UCLA learning from our students about what's possible on a campus. Where else on the campus might we do this work? Well, we've got this courtyard. Mike Sahigian knows a lot about this courtyard. And many of you have been to this courtyard. But it was mostly concrete. True story, one day a palm tree fell. And you have to move quick when you're a principal. The other two might fall. So I took advantage of that. And now we have Coast Live oaks there, which contribute a lot to what shows up in the courtyard. And on the left, that's just a snapshot. Some of these photos look posed, but they're not. That's recess. So it's self-selected students who come in off the playground to simply read a book or play one of the games on the cart built by Adam Sahigian for his Eagle Scout project. And it's a beautiful thing during unstructured time that they have these opportunities. The library aide, Ms. Escobar, who's a genius, she brings books, she curates books each week, which then come down on a cart. That was a $100,000 grant that we received from the school district, and that's encouraging. So there's something like magical realism happening on our campus. And what I really realize is it's not magical realism. It's the idea of the fact of historical migratory pathways, that the land that we occupied there in downtown Los Angeles for eons has been there for living creatures that are just holding on. So it's October 30th, isn't it? Just made that connection now. October 30th, 2016, a little girl in first grade came up to me and told me there was a baby owl on the campus. And I thought, oh, that's nice. And then I thought, I better go look. What if it is? It was, does anyone know this bird?
It's the dirtweed.
It's a common poor-will. You're right there. You're right there. And it's just just such an interesting species. They're nocturnal. And it had lit onto our campus. And this was the day of the Halloween parade. The parade went on, and that bird remained. In the night, I stuck around to watch its lopsided flight as it took off towards downtown. But what's more beautiful than this bird sharing its life with us? The children who observed it with such deep respect and thought, I'm coming off of the kickball game. I'm going to just sit here and watch it. I'll never forget that. And they respected it. It's just beautiful. This is stewardship. Then there's the owl, a burrowing owl, which kind of is hard to believe. It arrived in November 29th of 2016. A boy with autism. I tell you this because children with autism really, I find, I don't like to make generalisms. I don't like to generalize, but I'm telling you, children with autism have demonstrated, in my experience, an ability to really sort and classify the species. And they have that attention to detail. All this boy wanted to do was get a drink of water. But he comes outside and finds this in a tree. This photo is our photo. I took that photo. And it lasted with us 31 days that year. And it came back the next year as well. Here, some of the places it would show up, it was kind of like, where's Waldo? Okay? But when you have this culture on a school campus, it's lovely because you'll have 300 students eating lunch and the burrowing owl is in the tree and we're coexisting. Beautiful. But you also celebrate. We studied our partnership with the Natural History Museum. There's the students gathering the owl pellets, sending them to Lisa Gonzalez, an entomologist at the museum. Turns out the diet was cockroaches, full disclosure. And down below here is a burrowing owl party where they're all studying the burrowing owl. You take advantage of these moments. And we are a hot spot for eBird. So imagine that, an elementary school in downtown Los Angeles. And in addition to those two species, there are 81 others, 83 species of birds. And you can use the bar charts to see what shows up. I think probably the rarest we've had, possibly the burrowing owl, but also this willow flycatcher. Again, historical migratory pathways. And up above, you'll see a Nashville warbler, and I think there's a warbling vireo in there too, okay? These are beauties. The cedar waxwings, they love the toyon berries. And if you want to attract these, they're here right now. To attract them, toyon is wonderful. It's not just about the birds, it's also about insects. And we are a huge hotspot for iNaturalist as well. More than 2,700 observations. And so we're contributing to science through the work that we're doing. You have striped sweat bees. I'm not going to try to say their official name. You have incredible dragonflies, native bees, crab spiders. This is actually a thick-legged hoverfly, but they're all there. And so we're showing what's possible. Build it and they will come. The pandemic was difficult for us. Oh, sorry, butterflies. I'm so excited to tell you this. I wanted to tell you that we have 28 species of butterflies, but I can't tell you that. We have 29. A wandering skipper showed up yesterday, okay? And so, but you have, I think this is a sulfur of some kind, a swallowtail. I think that's a dusky wing. But, and the children, it's the children observing, right? And really just connecting to what's in their midst. Especially amazing moment was the migration of the painted ladies that actually was in the news quite a bit. And it was interesting, if I was on the yard, you would see the painted ladies coming north, but then going west, like literally like an L, and to the habitat. They would stay there and then they would move on. just beautiful. The pandemic hit, and that was very difficult. It was especially difficult because we were on such a roll. I mentioned to you how important you are you're a source of strength for me as a school leader. And I want to say I felt that about you, especially during the pandemic. It was incredibly difficult in our school community. And these are 4 students who in 4th grade were incredible birders. And I so look forward to them returning in 5th grade because I felt like it would have been like grad school for them. The pandemic hit and that wasn't possible. And we went online. But this is a photo of us writing an article about their experiences. And Natural History Museum published it. Kickball is the theme of our conversation, getting us ready for next Saturday. Kickball, soccer, birding. Birding? And that's us on the front lawn writing this article, okay? And I choke up when I read this, but I wanted to read the last sentence from their piece. Years from now, no one will remember the score of the kickball game on the playground of Esperanza Elementary on November 27th, 2018. But thanks to eBird and our efforts, ornithologists and others will know that at 12:16 p.m., a migrating northern harrier flew above Esperanza Elementary. Incredibly, an osprey and red-tailed hawk were observed that moment too. All of this helped science, and it sure helped us as well. They're in 6th grade now. I know they will carry that with them. Something else that happened during the pandemic was a virtual, and I'm closing here, a virtual site visit from the California Natural Resources Agency, a fantastic local nonprofit that you may know of, Los Angeles Neighborhood Land Trust, had written a grant proposal for a project that would take that sea of asphalt in our school and turn it into plants and trees and a real lawn for the children. But there needed to be a site visit. Because of the pandemic, it would be virtual. So I went to a 4th grade teacher's class and asked her, some of these, they were in 5th grade at this time. Some of these students and a few others were involved. There were 5 of them. We were online. I met them for about 15 minutes. And I noodled with them some ideas. Like, what has this work meant to you? And, they'd raise their hand like you do on Zoom. And one of them, Yanni, she's one of the writers, said, well, I know that I'm going to be a scientist. And I said, okay, great, you're going to write about that. And Irvin said, oh, I want to write about, like, the birds, and, like, thinking they're all red-tailed hawks, and then realizing, like, that one bird with the red face was a turkey vulture. Okay, you're going to write about that. Each one of them took the plants. Each one of them took a different line. And that was it. 15 minutes. Now it's the day of the virtual site visit. We went through it one time. I figured they were ready. They spoke with such authenticity. It took my breath away just to hear it because it was so personal. And I'm pleased to tell you, LA Neighborhood Land Trust got the grant. So $1.48 million from the California Natural Resources Agency. It's the largest they awarded in Los Angeles County. And it will result in the removal of more than 24,000 square feet of asphalt. And I'll tell you what, I thought of this last night. We have worked through this with students, and Jonathan is an architect. And we used his class to kind of come up with some ideas for what the grant might look like. The next day at lunch, Jonathan came up to me and said, Mr. Rumble, I've been thinking, you know what we could do near 7th Street? He's going to be an architect, okay? So he'll be there on Saturday, and Allison will be there. I'll have them give a tour of what is planned for 2nd semester. And I'm also pleased to tell you that we were made an example by Superintendent Carvalho. And he came to our school with James Worthy from the Lakers and other NBA players. And he was interviewed in our school library talking about the importance of this work. And he created a strategic plan, which is in effect right now, which includes $50 million for outdoor space on existing campuses to remove that asphalt and create these learning environments outside. So the fact that we became an example that now can be replicated, well, that's part of our natural history too. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I see a hand.
Brad's going to hate me for doing this, but when Sherry and Don Morrison invited me to be part of the design team, we went out and we walked the property together with Brad. And a principal named Rumble sounds sort of unusual, doesn't it? Yeah. But as we walked the property, the kids would come up and say, "Mr. Rumble, Mr. Rumble." I mean, they did not shy from the principal. They adored him. And they would, and he would speak their Spanish language and English and go back and forth. And he'd give away little, "I saw you do a good thing." And he'd give them, "I saw you do a good thing."
Caught being a star.
Caught being a
Yes.
star. And you give them so much pride, and you see them, and you respect them. And I think that if Sherry and Dawn hadn't introduced me to this project, my life would be less rich.
Oh,
So
thank
thank you.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. Don.
This isn't for Brad, it's more for the group here. Sherry and I have been there a number of times, and students come up to Brad in the playground. We've gone into classes, and he'll ask a question. He knows every one of those students by name. There's 825 of them. And I don't know if there's anybody in this room who can do this.
Working on kinder and first.
And, so it's, we all know he's incredible, but I want all of you to know that. And when you were in elementary school, did the principal know your name?
Mine.
When is this project due to be completed? The one that's on the screen now?
My understanding is it needs to be completed pretty quick. So second semester, right? Yeah.
So before the second semester begins? Or?
I think during the second semester, right? So, but you know, I'll connect to what you're saying. I appreciate your words. I really appreciate that. But I'll connect to it by saying, at this school, it will be disruptive to have that construction going on. But it won't be impossible because of what we've got going, right? We will figure it out. So that's not even a worry for me. So, yeah. Are there, yes?
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
One is, you've already greened up quite a bit of space, so is there more space that needs to, obviously, it needs to be?
Yeah, I think with this project, I think it will it'll be a game changer for us. I will have to see, you know, the way it works is you have the LA Neighborhood Land Trust, who hired SALT architects, who are doing the project. And then they work closely with facilities in LA Unified. And so that final project, we'll see what results, and then perhaps there will be some backfilling that we can do.
And my other question is, do you ever go to that park on 2nd Street that the LA Conservancy, I forget that.
Yeah, the Santa Monica.
Yeah, Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy.
So that's Vista Hermosa Park, and that's an incredible place. I go there. It's a little far for us for field trips, but I've run into families there, like when I've bird watched it, and that's really nice to see. So, yeah, I think, you know, another example would be there's Maya Angelou High School at 54th and Avalon. And the city did something really great. They took a property next door that was a truck yard and turned it into South Los Angeles wetlands. And it's so used by the community. In fact, LA Neighborhood Land Trust, if you look at the article in the newspaper about South Los Angeles today, it mentions 52nd Street School. that this work will be done on that campus to the tune of 2 acres. So there's some good news. We have to look for this good news, right? Yeah.
Oh, Brad?
Yes.
A few months before we went to Esperanza, there were a group of about 20 of us went to Brockton Avenue, right, near WPC. We worked maybe 7 or 8 hours, did a huge amount of work, cleaning up things, painting benches, doing so and and the principal wasn't very confident. We never even got a thank you from all that we did. And then Ben said to Sherry, well, I know Brad, and we should go there. And things have worked out great. But, if that principal had been a little better at Brockton, that's where we would have been. But
I have no problem that it worked out the way it did.
The principal said she had some major
Yeah.
issues, so.
But yeah, but it is important. I mean, I feel like this particular school community, and I'm talking about the students and the parents and the faculty, there's just a permanent culture of gratitude, right? And you get so much more done because of that. And of course, it's a motivator too.
Tell them about your attendance records.
I can't tell you about it right now. Okay, we're working on it. The pandemic was really difficult.
Yeah.
But before the pandemic, it was just incredible. Way up. So it's been difficult. It's been a real challenge in the community. We're still working on that. But I mean, the way that students come in the morning as they go by, they just bound into school and with such confidence. And this is really what students need. Students who are living under the circumstances of poverty need to understand that they possess the gifts, that they have everything it takes to move ahead. And I think it's our job to make those connections. Pastor Mark?
I can't help but reflect on what I have noticed of your leadership at the school and the incredible insight that you have designed for this Saturday's outing. I tried to capture what I heard from you about the purpose and the fact that you said, no, we're not asking for anything. We don't want anything. You have demonstrated for us here how the children serendipitously have become teachers to their mentors.
Yes.
And the thing that they need most in that poverty-stricken area where they don't even pay attention to that anymore is the fellowship of this outing, this game day. It's not all about just always receiving, always being given something. We just want to play.
That's it.
And so it's the families together with their partners from WPC who also eat pizza.
That's it. That's it. No, that's it. Thank you. Yes.
Just, I'm curious, I know you mentioned other similar projects, but do you see, with your work at Esperanza, do you see that type of thing spreading throughout the school system, or how quick or slowly is that happening? Because obviously there are lots of schools that don't have green space.
There have been the need is tremendous, but Superintendent Carvalho has demonstrated a real interest in this work. The board approved a motion that by 2035, 30% of all campuses will be green space. So it's actually happening now, and I think that it now will become much more of this is how we do it in this school district. I mean, it goes back to some of the big ideas here. The 21st century campus must look different from the 20th century campus. And it's exciting that this district has taken significant steps towards making it more systematic. Mm-hmm. That is my hope. Yes.
So, this is an odd question, but I guess it's worth asking. What do you lose when you take away those spaces, right? Because they were built for a purpose years ago.
Right.
Do you have less space for the kids to play organized sports, or?
Well, at this campus, that playground is so large that we're able to continue. There will be no change in terms of the space. And I've had luck this year. This is really the first year where I've really integrated this, where at lunchtime, grades 2 through 5 have the option, just like going into the courtyard, they can go into the habitat. And it's working out very well. So that's actually part of their instructor time too. So, yeah, I mean, we have to look at what's possible and also keep in mind those needs. You know, your question and what Pastor Mark said made me think of something, which is just the iterative nature of this work. When I came to Esperanza, I had some long-term goals in mind of where I wanted to take the work. I didn't come in with any set of, any game plan of how it was going to roll out. But as you saw, it just slowly took, I forgot the last slide. There it is. Yeah, it became this, but it was iterative. In fact, I'll probably take some of your questions and that will inform the work going forward. Can you believe this? So one thing we do when there's open house, that happens at 5 o'clock in spring. Well, Habitat open house as well. What's really cool is the older student was a student at Leo Politi Elementary. And he became a steward through Los Angeles Audubon Society and now was there hosting the open house. So this was a particularly good year for lupins, I have to say. We had a lot of rain that year. And the bumblebees that showed up were amazing. I should add, not one bee sting, in case you were wondering. Yeah. So anyway, any final questions? I want to make sure you're, yes?
So, today's paper had an article about how the water allotment for Los Angeles is being reduced, and I'm looking at your plans, and I see that they're water careful. You're using plants that aren't hugely intensive, but still the water allotment is going to be a challenge, I think.
It's a great point. So this habitat, when it was established, every 1 or 2 weeks we needed to irrigate at the beginning. After that first year, that was it. The only watering that we do for this habitat is one time during summer. That's it. Wow. One time during summer. So with native plants, if you think about it, we're planting the kinds of plants that you would find, out in Lancaster, say, or up in the hills. And they don't need water during summer. This is why we're the Golden State, right? It becomes sort of just fallow during the summer. And so it really doesn't require watering. Now, when we do a project with LA Unified, one of the requirements is that there be irrigation. And so that is part of the project. But we don't need to irrigate much. So you definitely save a lot of water. Yeah. All right. Thank you again. Thank you.